Well, good evening. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Congressman Stephen Horsford, proud to represent Nevada's 4th Congressional District. First, I want to thank In Citizens United for hosting this important conversation tonight, and to thank Tiffany and the entire team for your tireless work to make our government serve everyday people, not billionaires.
Whose background is
Also, I want to thank all of our partners tonight from Reproductive Freedom for All, AFT, Giffords, League of Conservation Voters, Rural Organizing, Climate Power, People for the American Way, and Let It Resound. We cannot do this work without all of you and your support. We're now on day 15 of the Republican shutdown that never had to happen. They control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Yet instead of governing, they brought the country to a standstill to please their billionaire donors. In fact, they're now asleep at the wheel. They're MIA. They're on vacation. We don't know where they are, but they're definitely not in Washington trying to reopen the government or save healthcare. The consequences are real as a result. Families facing higher health premiums, federal workers missing paychecks, and communities left in limbo. Every day that this continues, more Americans are hurt. Now, Democrats, on the other hand, are united in ending this manufactured chaos. We're working to reopen the government, to protect healthcare, and to stop working families from paying the price for Republican corruption. While Republicans serve the wealthy and the well-connected, we're focused on the people who sent us here to work hard for them. Hardworking Americans who deserve stability and a government that works for all of them. Now, I want to thank Leader Hakeem Jeffries for his steady, principled leadership through this crisis. He reminds us who we're fighting for, what we're fighting for, and why we're fighting. And it's the people counting on House Democrats in this case to do what's right. Tonight's about that fight, how we move forward, how we stay united, and how we hold Republicans accountable. So thank you for tuning in, staying engaged, and standing with us as we stand with the American people. And with that, I'll turn it over to Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Stephen, for your continued friendship and partnership and leadership as we move forward. So thankful for all of my colleagues in the House Democratic Caucus, who you'll be hearing from throughout this virtual town hall meeting. I, of course, also want to thank our hosts, Tiffany and Citizens United, and all of the amazing advocacy groups that have been part of this effort as we stand shoulder to shoulder on day 15 of the Trump Republican shutdown. House Democrats, allied with Senate Democrats, consistently have made clear that we want to reopen the government. We want to find a bipartisan path forward to enacting a spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of improving their quality of life and lowering the high cost of living in the United States of America, and that we must decisively address the Republican health care crisis. All across the country, at this moment in time, millions of people are receiving notices that their premiums, copays, and deductibles for their health insurance are about to skyrocket, all because of the Republicans' continued refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And this is on top of the unthinkable assault that Republicans have waged on the health care of the American people throughout this year, including the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. The fact that Republican policies are triggering hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health clinics to close all across the country, including in their districts, their states, and in many parts of rural America. Republicans have actually set in motion a possible $536 billion cut to Medicare that will take place at the end of this year if Congress doesn't act, connected to their one big ugly bill, which hurt everyday Americans in order to benefit their billionaire donors with massive and permanent tax breaks for the wealthiest people in this country. Republicans could care less that the government has been shut down for 15 days. Our House Republican colleagues have been on vacation now for 3 consecutive weeks, canceled votes 2 weeks ago, canceled votes last week, and have once again canceled votes this week. House Democrats remain committed to getting the job done, working with all of you, standing with our hardworking federal employees, and of course, making sure we can get the government reopened, but enact a spending bill that is designed to improve your quality of life. The cost of living in this country is way too high. Housing costs too high, grocery costs too high, childcare costs too high, electricity bills through the roof. And now Republicans want to layer on top of that massive increases to the healthcare premiums, copays, and deductibles for tens of millions of Americans. It's unacceptable. We're not going to stand for it. Democrats are continuing to hold the line. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save healthcare. Thank you for your engagement, and we're going to win this fight for the American people. It's now my honor and privilege to yield to the president of End Citizens United, a close friend and partner to House Democrats and Senate Democrats on Capitol Hill, who's fighting for all the things that matter, including the preservation of our health care and the saving of our democracy. Tiffany Muller.
Well, thank you so much, Leader Jeffries. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. As you can tell, I'm losing my voice, but I am not losing my fight. My voice might be tired, but I know none of us are tired. And we're going to keep going until we win this fight. So, Leader Jeffries, Congressman Horsford, thank you so much for helping us continue to lead these important conversations. And to all of you watching tonight, thank you for continuing to come back to find out how you can help us fight and to win. So for those who don't know me, my name is Tiffany Muller, and I'm the president of End Citizens United. We're a grassroots-powered organization dedicated to rooting out corruption in government and protecting the freedom to vote, both of which are under attack right now. And we have over 4 million members across the country from all walks of life, but they're all united by one simple idea, which is that our government is supposed to work for the people, not the corporate special interest, not the billionaires, but the people. And we're here again today. This is our third one of these in a row. We're here again today because Republicans have pushed us into a third week of a needless and reckless shutdown. And let's be clear, this isn't about incompetence on their part. Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, and John Thune have all made a deliberate and calculated decision, a calculated choice. They are prioritizing tax breaks for billionaires and corporations over affordable health care for tens of millions of Americans. That isn't incompetence. That is a policy choice. And as if that weren't enough, the president's now using this shutdown as a pretext to fire thousands of dedicated federal employees, from federal measles response team to mental health response advocates to nearly every single staffer in the government special educations division. This is cruelty by design. So Republicans are keeping the government shut down because they are corrupted and beholden to those billionaire donors who fund their election. That's who they're fighting for. But everyone, this call, Leader Jeffries, Congressman Stephen Horsford, all of the other members of Congress that are joining us, the advocates and the activists, and you, all of you watching, we are fighting for the people, and the stakes couldn't be clearer. So thank you for joining tonight. You're going to hear about all the different ways that you can help in this fight. And you are going to hear from people being directly impacted by these rising costs in healthcare. And so, again, thank you for bearing with me and my voice, which again, my voice might be tired, but we are not tired and we are not giving up. And it is now my honor and privilege to turn it over to one of those storytellers who's going to come on and share her personal story with us about how she's been impacted by healthcare costs. So, Jonna Higgins Fries, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm actually on my way home flying to Chicago, so I'm sitting at the airport, and maybe give me a thumbs up if you can actually hear me. Okay. Sometimes they keep coming on and yelling at me, so I hope you're not hearing that. My name is Jonna Higgins Fries, and my family has lived, farmed, and worked in Iowa since the 1850s. I'm here today as a private citizen and mother of 2 kids with critical and chronic illnesses who use Medicaid. When Senator Joni Ernst and Marionette Miller Meeks were voting for the big brutal bill to take working people's money away from Medicaid and Social Security to give handouts to the rich, someone shouted to Senator Ernst that gutting Medicaid would kill people, and Ernst said, "We're all gonna die." My babies were both sick from the instant they were born in Iowa City. My older son already died. He was born in cardiac arrest, and I lay in the silent delivery room while the doctors and nurses were scared, waiting to see whether my kid could be resuscitated. So I don't need my elected officials to tell me that we're all going to die. I need representatives like Marionette Miller Meeks to stop stealing the money that helps my kids have a good life. Representative Miller Meeks won't speak to those of us in her district. She won't have a town hall. And she won't talk to us. So I say to her, if she were here, you took an oath as a physician to do no harm, but you have shut down the government because you refuse to make sure that people can go to the doctor and get their medications. I haven't slept through the night in weeks. I wake up terrified about a lot of things the regime is doing that hurt the people that I love, including how my family can live with these Medicaid cuts. There are 600,000 other Iowans just like me who can't live without Medicaid. That's nearly 1 in 5 Iowans. And I think a question we could ask is, why are American Iowans so poor and sick after a decade of Republican supermajority in the state? And many of them don't even know they're on Medicaid because it's been privatized and called Molina, Iowa Total Care, or WellPoint, or they just know they're on a waiver and they don't know that that's Medicaid. For our kids, Medicaid pays for health insurance and healthcare as a backup to our private insurance. It pays for prescriptions and respite care. The state agrees that one of my kids needs 17 to 24 hours of care a day. For the first 9 years, my family, including our neighbors, did that on our own. Then, after 3 years on the waiting list, we started using respite through Medicaid. The respite workers would take my son to the River Bandits game with Nana and Grandpa, feed him and give him his meds, or play Uno with them. And we could better care for our younger son, or just sit down a minute without worrying about meds and feedings every single second. Or his respite workers would take him to visit our friend Ada in Cedar Falls, who's also on Medicaid. Ada is nonverbal, requires help with toileting, constant monitoring for seizures, and assistance with movement. What's going to happen to Ada and her family as these cuts kick in? Now my son is living in a group home, which has been so good for him and for us. But already, before these cuts kick in, there's an 8-year wait list to get Medicaid that supports housing. After the cuts, who knows? I did 2 years of AmeriCorps National Service, and my father and grandparents served during the Vietnam era and World War II to defend government of, by, and for the people, not government of, by, and for the billionaires. We are the richest country in the history of the world. I don't know why we let Republicans waste our time saying that we can't provide health care for everyone. There's enough for everything for everyone, as long as we don't let the billionaires and their Republican cronies steal more than half of it off the top.
Thank you so much, Jonna, for joining us tonight and for sharing your story. We are all standing with you, and we will keep fighting for you. Congressman Horsford, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Tiffany. And Jonna, thank you so much. Your story is the reason that we're in this fight. Thank you for the courage to share it. And you speak on behalf of so many others who we're fighting for in this moment with healthcare. And helping to lead that fight is the chairman of our House Democratic Caucus. He makes sure that we stay organized and that we're aligned. And particularly in these important times, Congressman Pete Aguilar, the chair of the House Democratic Caucus.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate your leadership in putting this together. And of course, Tiffany and our friends at ECU for hosting. The members here are highlighting the danger of these Republican cuts to healthcare. And most importantly, the individuals like Jonna who are sharing their healthcare stories. So incredibly powerful and important, and really putting a face to these dangerous cuts that Republicans have led. Republicans have run away from their responsibilities here in DC and are hiding from their constituents at home, while Democrats are here doing everything in our power to clean up the mess Republicans have made with their big ugly bill. House Republicans are refusing to negotiate or even hold town halls like this one. Like Jonna just said, Iowa Republican Miller Meeks just said that she won her election by 799 votes, and she wouldn't even hold a town hall. And she said, when hell freezes over. I mean, that isn't real leadership. All of the American people want us to be working here. They want us to improve their lives, yet Republicans seem to be doing everything they can to make their lives worse. We're already facing an affordability crisis in this country, and now Republicans have created a full-blown healthcare crisis on top of it. The situation is so bad for working families that Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Kevin Kiley have called on Speaker Johnson to take action to extend the ACA tax credits. Kevin Kiley from California even called the Speaker's decision to adjourn the House during the shutdown embarrassing. This Republican shutdown and healthcare crisis is exactly why Democrats need to take back the House so we can put a stop to these cruel Republican policies and hold this administration accountable. And you play such an incredible role in that fight. We have important elections in California, Proposition 50, yes on 50, gubernatorial elections in New Jersey and Virginia. We need your help and support. We need you to make phone calls to your friends. We need you to share your healthcare message. And if you know someone or if you were affected by the tax credit expiring and your premium is going to increase, we want to share that as well. That's why we all need to come together and hold Republicans accountable for their actions. It's my honor to introduce, I'm a member of the Appropriations Committee, and it's my honor to introduce Rosa DeLauro, who's the chair of the Appropriations Committee and a dedicated fighter for working families.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. It's wonderful to be here with all of you tonight. And I say good evening to everyone. And Jonna, thank you. Thank you so much for your courage. Thank you for standing up and not being afraid. Well, we need you, and you're there all the time for us. I want to say a thank you to Leader Jeffries, to Congressman Horsford, and Citizen United President Tiffany Muller for organizing this nationwide discussion tonight, and say a thank you to all of our partners who have been engaged in this effort. I am the top Democrat on the House Appropriations Committee, and I was working with my Republican counterparts on a deal to fund the government. Then they walked away because President Trump and Russell Vought, who was the head of the Office of Management and Budget, he's the director, they demanded that Congress pass Republican bills only. They refused to address the healthcare crisis that Republicans have created with their big, ugly bill. Now the government is shut down. Republicans are on vacation. You wander around the halls by their offices, nobody home. Where's Waldo? What are they doing? Why aren't they representing their constituents in Washington, D.C.? President Trump and the Project 2025 mastermind, Russ Vought, are working on behalf of the billionaires who elected them. And they bring to us That would bring to us this big, ugly bill. It is a bill. It is one of the most direct transfers of wealth from the working class Americans to the wealthy, the one that I have never seen. It slashes $1 trillion in Medicaid funding, the single biggest cut to Medicaid in its history. It triggers a $500 billion cut to Medicare. It gives directly to people earning over $500,000 a year in the form of tax breaks. This bill will cost 15 million Americans to lose their health insurance. And because Republicans are also refusing to extend the tax credits that help people purchase insurance under the Affordable Care Act, 20 million people will see their health care premiums skyrocket at the end of this year, including 143,000 in my district, the 3rd Congressional District of Connecticut. Urban, rural hospitals are in trouble. They will close. Nursing homes will close. Community health centers will close. After multiple attempts from Democrats in the Congress to broker a bipartisan agreement with Republicans in order to prevent healthcare costs from spiking during what is a cost of living crisis. Today, Americans live paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford their housing, electricity, their groceries. And the biggest driver of increased costs are healthcare costs. And in order to prevent these healthcare costs from spiking during this cost of living crisis, that is what we have tried to do over and over and over again. And they continue to rebuff Democrats and will not sit down. They walked away and they shut it all down. Our position is clear. Sit down with Democrats, compromise, like all who have preceded you. That has been the process. Lower costs, cancel the cuts, save health care. And unless Republicans come to the table, 20 million Americans will soon receive notifications that their premiums are skyrocketing, double or tripled. In my state, the notices go out on October 20th. I have negotiated spending bills with Democrats and Republicans together, but you cannot negotiate with yourself. And they cannot expect Democrats' votes when they have passed Republican-only budgets that we have to live under and that Americans have to live under, hardworking Americans. Democrats are standing strong, and we need a public outcry from the American people and from everyone joining us. That public outcry is all from everyone who is out there. Congress is an institution that responds to external pressure. You're that external pressure. We can start tonight. 3 steps. Call targeted Republican members. Tell them to save healthcare and reopen the government. Volunteer or phone bank in New Jersey, Virginia, or for Prop 50 in California. Continue to lift up the stories. Share the healthcare notices about increasing premiums with House Democrats. When we fight, we win. When we stand united, we win, and we will prevail. Thank you. And I turn it back over to you, Congressman Horsford.
Thank you so much, Representative DeLauro, for your really tenacious leadership, especially leading the Appropriations Committee, and at this time trying to get back at the negotiating table, which is all Democrats in the House have been calling for our Republican colleagues to get back to the table, to reopen government, to save health care so that we can complete the appropriations process and fund our government. That's your role. That's what you've been leading towards, and we count on your leadership to make that happen. We're going to get right into other members who are with us. We want to thank everybody for joining. Again, hashtag Trump's shutdown drags on. So Trump's shutdown drags on. Talk about this call and the information that we're sharing. Make sure that we're targeting the Republicans who need to come to the table, that we're focused on Virginia, New Jersey, and Prop 50 in California, and continue to uplift these stories of real people who are impacted by the devastating healthcare cuts, whether it's to Medicaid or the doubling of healthcare coverage. Next, we're going to come to the chairman, again, soon to be chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Gregory Meeks from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Brother Horsford. Thank you for leading this. And I also want to thank our esteemed leader, Hakeem Jeffries, and of course, Leader Aguilar, and all of those who are on this town hall. Thank you for being there, and those who organize, because this is what the message of the moment needs to be. You know, when I grew up as a young boy, it was talking about power belongs to the people. Power still belongs to the people, and the power and most important thing for every average, everyday American, if you are alive, is you need health care, which is why this Trump shutdown makes absolutely no sense. He does not care, apparently, about what needs and how we can make sure that health care is accessible for all, not a privilege for a few, but a right for everyone. Because without health care, you have nothing. And Trump and the Republicans have decided to shut this government down as opposed to making sure that we keep and make permanent the tax credits for the Affordable Care Act and rescind the cuts to Medicaid. Two things. What do? It makes sure that people stay alive with the Affordable Care here, preventive care, so that you don't get sick first and have to go to the hospital. That costs the American people more. But what do they want to do? It is clear. This is why they've shut it down. He was not able to end the Affordable Care Act in his first term. And so this is just the same plight that he's have this time to try to take away health care. There's been only one thing that they have made permanent, and that's tax cuts for the billionaires. When it comes to anything else, they have not made it a permanent when it comes to the average everyday American. What we are fighting for as Democrats is to make sure that our families, the average everyday family who now for the first time, since of the Affordable Care Act have been put in place, can afford health care, can afford it. Because if we don't do anything now, starting on November 1st, the cost of health care will go up over 250% for many Americans. And that's why this message got to go out to Republicans also, because it's their constituents that will be suffering also. It's their constituents and small business people and small business owners that you're going to see those costs rising dramatically. That's what this is all about. That's why we've got to get this message out, and we got to get it out through across America, especially in these districts that refuse to do what we're doing today, having a town hall meeting so it can be discussed in regards to what we do. So look, we know that when we fight, we win, that the power belongs to the people, that if the people's voices and stand up and say we must have health care, then we will win. We need everybody out there. I mean, the message that I heard with Johanna was something that we've got to push out. We've got to share that story. We've got to make sure people hear the stories of average everyday people. And we've got two important elections that are coming up: New Jersey and Virginia. We need people to volunteer if you're living in those areas to make sure that we get that message out. And of course, in California, Prop 50. Call the Republican members and tell them to open the government and keep health care affordable. Volunteer in New Jersey, volunteer in Virginia, and volunteer in California, and pass the stories out. Thank you all for being on this call and at this town hall meeting.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Congressman. No, I can't.
You're fighting corruption so much, your voice is gone there, Tiffany. I'll come in to help bat out. But I want to thank Chairman Gregory Meeks and again, all the members, and most importantly, those of you who are on this call. This is about you and making sure that we are working together to win together in the upcoming weeks and months ahead. Next, I'm going to come to Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. She is an influential leader on judiciary and, of course, heads up the subcommittee on immigration, among other issues. Thank you, Congresswoman Jayapal, for being on this evening.
Thank you so much, Congressman Horsford. Tiffany Muller, you may have lost your voice, but you always got the power of the people. Thank you for everything that End Citizens United does, and all my colleagues. It's good to see you all. I want to give you three numbers. We are, and here they are, 15, 26, and 20. We are on the 15th day of this Republican shutdown. The House of Representatives has been out of session for 26 days since Mike Johnson sent his members home to go on vacation or fundraisers or whatever they're doing instead of showing up for work. And 20 is the number of days that we've actually been in any kind of legislative session since July 3rd, when Republicans passed their big bad betrayal bill. And look, I think that all of us understand that healthcare as we know it has been trashed by the $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid, by the threatened cuts to Medicare that have been set up by the big bad betrayal bill, and also by these healthcare premiums that are about to expire. And what is crazy to me is that, I think Congressman Meeks said this, 80% of the people who actually get these tax credits, these Affordable Care Act tax credits, live in states that Donald Trump won. And when we are elected to Congress, we are elected to Congress to fight for our constituents, to make their life better, to bring down their costs, to make sure that they've got health care. And that is exactly why Democrats will not give up this fight, because as Hakeem Jeffries has said and been so strong in his leadership, we are here to fight for the American people. Cancel the cuts, extend the premiums, lower healthcare costs so that people can actually afford to get sick and to get the care that they need. If you think about Speaker Johnson's district, a 60-year-old couple in Speaker Johnson's district who gets these subsidies would see their premiums go up by $2,200. A 60-year-old couple that is earning just $80,000 would see their premiums increase by $17,000. That's in the richest country in the world. And Republicans are not here negotiating with us. They are acting like they don't control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Well, guess what? They control all three. When you control all three, you have a responsibility to govern, to get the votes that you need so that you can keep the government open and you can actually save healthcare for the American people. So I'm an organizer. We need you to organize. It is not enough just for us to agonize. We got to organize. And that means that we really need Republicans in particular in the House and in the Senate to hear from you. Call your Republican member if you're in a Republican district. If you're not, make a list of 10 people you know that are in a Republican district and call them and ask them to call their Republican member. Show up at those town halls. Make sure that they feel the pressure and the power of the people's voice. And then you've already heard that it's really important that we also continue to win some of these critical issues. Stephen mentioned I am the top Democrat on the immigration subcommittee. Everything that we're seeing, whether it's destroying voting rights, whether it's gerrymandering districts, whether it's what governors in Republican states are doing, is all about ceding power to the king. Well, we don't have kings in America, so weigh in on those elections in New Jersey and Virginia, and also on a proposition that's on the California ballot that we can win to save our House majority. So these are critically important things. And then the final one is number one lesson of organizing: tell your stories. Put it on social media that when you get your premium notices, put it on social media. Call your Congress members. Make sure that people understand what the stories are and what's really at stake for the American people. That's what we need. We are winning. The polling is on our side. The public is on our side. We just need a bigger movement, and you can help us get there. So thank you all so much for joining us, and I'll turn it back to our distinguished leader, Stephen Horsford.
Well, thank you so much, Congresswoman Jayapal, and it's great to again have so many members on tonight. We're going to continue with my colleague from the great state of Nevada. She represents the Las Vegas Strip, which is in my backdrop, but it's in her district, Congresswoman Dina Titus from the 1st Congressional District. And then we're going to come next to Carlotta, who we're going to hear from next.
Well, thank you, Stephen. You're welcome in my district anytime, and I'm honored and delighted to join you. Thank you to Leader Jeffries, to Tiffany, everybody who's involved tonight, sponsoring, telling their stories and just listening in. And I see so many of the messages coming through of people who are in the audience. That's just great. I do represent District 1 in Southern Nevada, and here we are. I'm at home in the district on this 15th day of the Republican shutdown, trying to help people because they are desperate and they are concerned about what's going on. Not only have the Republicans shut down the government, they've fired thousands of frontline federal employees, and they've defunded some very important programs that are part of the social safety net. And now, biggest of all, perhaps, is trying to gut health insurance and health care for the American public. They've done that by threatening Medicare, by cutting Medicaid, and also by refusing to extend those tax breaks for people who are, or tax incentives for people who are on Obamacare or the ACA. And they're doing it all just to help out their billionaire friends. Now, ironically, earlier this year, it was on July the 4th, that Trump signed the bill that did all this. The big bad BS bill is what I call it. And it put these things in place and refused to extend those tax credits. Now, they don't expire until the end of the year. So you've heard them say, oh, we got time. We'll come back and do it. Well, don't believe that for a second. First, we don't have time. And second, they won't come back and do it. They've said that how many times? This is something that we have to do now. It's not a fight that we can put off. You know, the marketplace opens on November the 1st. And as we speak, insurance plans are being laid and finalizing rates with the CMS. They're going to start sending out those official renewal notices telling enrollees just what they're going to have to pay next year. And I think it's going to be some real sticker shock from some people in these districts that supported President Trump. There may be some buyer's remorse when they see what's happening to their premiums. In my district, some 22,000 people alone, just right here in little District 1, will see the cost of their health care skyrocket if these tax credits expire. And if that happens, they won't be able to afford insurance. Many of them, they'll go back to emergency rooms. They won't have preventive care. And the burden of picking up the cost for their coverage will fall to other people who have insurance. So it's not just affecting the recipients of Obamacare. It will impact everybody as those rates go up. Now, I was there when they passed the ACA. It was a proud moment when we finally did that. And, you know, they have tried, Republicans have tried over 100 times to decimate it, to discredit it, to defund it, to destroy it. And they always say, we got a plan. I heard Johnson saying that just yesterday. We got a plan. No, they don't. What is their plan? What the hell is their plan? We've asked them for the plan, and they don't have one, and they can't articulate one. And, you know, that's why I'm sticking to the fight here. I'm sticking with House Democrats to stand up for this, to find a solution, to do this government funding for a healthcare crisis that they have created. They don't seem to care. They don't want to solve the problem. I guess they don't mind if people get sick and die. And trust me, people will die. So count on us to stand up for this. We count on you to be there and have our back as we do it. I'm like Mr. Meeks. I believe that healthcare is a right, not a privilege, just for a handful of people. It's for everybody, not just the billionaires. So I'll see you out there on No King's Day, and we'll just keep this drumbeat going. So thank you very much for letting me join you tonight.
Thank you, Congresswoman Dina Titus from Las Vegas. Next, we're going to hear from Carlotta with Reproductive Freedom for All. We know that reproductive freedom is healthcare, and we want to thank you for your work, your advocacy, and if you could share a little bit of your story with all of us about why healthcare is so important. And next, we're going to come to Congressman Desaulniers, who is up on deck next. Mark, sorry for mispronouncing.
Hi, everyone, and thank you very much. My name is Carlotta Bogan-Uhola. I'm in California. I'm in the California 39th District, and I'm a volunteer and co-chair with Reproductive Freedom for All's National Action Council. I've chosen to do this fight because, as you just stated, reproductive health care is healthcare. Abortion is healthcare. It's a much broader issue, and we all deserve it. But for our family, healthcare is critical in so many different ways. I have a rare genetic condition called hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I'm married to a type 1 diabetic who is in renal failure. And it's so important to have access to reliable, affordable healthcare because it's become so much harder for us to get for every average American, honestly. And I'm sorry, I'm not used to talking to such a big group, so I apologize if I stutter. Bear with me. My husband was laid off back in July. So we're currently struggling to pay our healthcare insurance premiums through COBRA, which currently costs us $1,830. That is just to be able for us to be able to continue our care as it was so that we can continue on. My husband does start a new job and he will be getting his benefits soon. However, we have to continue paying these out-of-pocket costs until December, which is a lot for a normal family. With insurance, our current average monthly cost for prescriptions is about $500. We are paying $403 a month for specialists. My husband just had eye surgery that saved him from going blind, and that out-of-pocket cost for that procedure was $1,000. These costs are covering just our bare minimum. There's no extra. We're just getting what we need right now. And that is what every American is facing if the healthcare costs go up. If we don't have the subsidies, if we don't have the care, if we don't have this, what we're fighting for. My husband became eligible to go onto the kidney transplant list earlier this year. To qualify for a kidney transplant, he needs to see a whole lot of specialists and have extensive testing done. We tried to find more affordable healthcare through the ACA and all that. We couldn't, and we were also told that if we switched insurances, we'd have to start over again. We'd have to get new authorization for everything. Even if we went back to the same insurance we're on now, we would have to start over, and we would not have access to the specialists he currently has now, which are the ones who are treating him and making sure that he stays stable. And that includes even the authorization for peritoneal dialysis, which thankfully he doesn't need yet. But if it becomes necessary, we don't have time to sit there and argue with the insurance and hope we have the money to pay for it. EDS for me affects everything from my ligaments to my tendons to my veins and my organs. EDS patients are prone to having joint instability and dislocations. We have fragile tissues, poor healing, and we have different types of prolapses. And there is no cure for EDS. We can just manage our symptoms and treat them as they come. Finding doctors with solid knowledge in EDS has been an ongoing challenge. And when a doctor learns that I have EDS, they often tell me they're no longer taking EDS patients. And so I have to go back to square one. And that includes the fact that I have not been able to find a gynecologist to do my annual exam since 2018 because they do not feel comfortable doing a normal annual exam for women on an EDS patient. My husband works hard. I worked hard up until my disability stopped me, and we actively have tried to save for our future. Unfortunately, with our healthcare costs and 2 layoffs in the past 3 years, we have not had the savings we planned on, and now those are being depleted. I also wanted to just quickly tell you about a good friend of mine who also has EDS, and she's a veteran. She works for the VA, and she provides durable medical equipment for vets. Her department, after the last shutdown, went from 22 people to 7. She is now currently working at the VA in the durable medical department for free because she is not getting paid. And she's been told if she does not work, she will be laid off. She doesn't have a choice. She's a single mom. She doesn't know how she's going to put food on the table. She doesn't know how to pay her bills. She doesn't know when her next paycheck is coming. And she also needs medical care. This is what we're all going through. And we're not unique. My husband and I are not unique. We know that some of our friends and family are also going through struggles, some worse than ours, and it's terrifying. And if this government shutdown continues and the GOP gets their way in cutting even more from healthcare, too many hardworking Americans are going to find themselves unable to pay for necessary medical care and will eventually become homeless. And I thank you for your time listening to me, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you for fighting, and I will pass it back.
Thank you so much, Carlotta, and thank you for really the heartfelt explanation of what it is you, your husband, and others are facing, and the reminder that this is more than numbers, it's more than a stat, it's real people behind these healthcare cuts and the policy. And it's not just about what we're fighting against, but it's what Democrats are fighting for. And it's people like you, your husband, and everyone else who deserves access to quality healthcare. So thank you so much for sharing that today and for your advocacy around freedom, reproductive rights for everyone, reproductive freedom for all. Next, we're going to come to Congressman Marc Desaulniers. I always try to do the French pronunciation. I took French class and I didn't get it too good. I didn't get it too well in high school.
That's fine, Steve. That's fine. I respond to anything close to it. And I had 4 years of high school French, and I'm not sure I can pronounce it either. But thank you for doing this. Thank you for your life's work in the union movement and now as a member of Congress. You're terrific. Tiffany, thank you for everything you've done. And I'm going to date myself by saying you're reminding me of Lauren Bacall, but only us older people will remember what I'm referring to in your communications challenge right now. I am the ranking member on the Health, Employment, Labor, and Pension Subcommittee of the Education and Labor that deals with 120 million Americans who have employee health care. So as they assault Medicare and Medicaid, they're assaulting the Veterans Administration healthcare. They're also assaulting the venture capitalists who gave us Citizens United, by the way, who made America sick, the democratic process sick, and are now trying to kill it. The 120 million people who come under our jurisdiction, we have seen that their rates are also going up. So this is before the subsidies. They're going up, we estimate as much as 10% in the coming year. And at the same time, the quality of care is diminishing rapidly. We've had multiple hearings where claims that were traditionally legally approved with high quality response from health professionals are now being declined because it's just like the housing crisis 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where they knew if they kept declining, doctors and patients would give up. That's what they hope. We only have one investigator in the federal government for every 12,000 health plans, and they know it because they've eviscerated the regulators. So there's no cops there to stop them from what they're doing to Americans' health. And let me just say, this is all created by what Louis Brandeis famously said: you can have democracy in America, or you can have great wealth concentrated in a few people. You can't have both. We don't have both, folks, anymore. It's quite deliberate. It's by a sociopathic class of wealthy people who have no understanding of what average people go through, and it's personified by the current president of the United States. So what do we have to do? I'll go back tomorrow to my district in the San Francisco Bay Area and go back out with my friends in labor, Indivisible and Resistors, be knocking on doors. And we've been trying to get people to understand we have to pass Prop 50 in California, and we are going to. We have to win the midterms. We know that the Supreme Court is hearing a case right now where we anticipate they will eviscerate the Voting Rights Act. John Lewis, you must be rolling over in your grave. So don't think that this is a walk in the park. This is a fight of our lifetime. We're dealing with people who want to destroy the New Deal, want to destroy the Great Society, want to destroy the Affordable Care Act. And the only thing that will get us to overcome this power, this concentration of wealth, is a mass movement. And that's you folks. It's not us, it's all of us. So get out there and fight like hell. I'll be out in the Bay Area, no King's Day. Get in the streets, help us in the courts with our partners at Democracy Forward, and get in the voting booth and be mad as hell. That's the only way we're going to save America from these sociopathic, greedy monsters who are attacking us.
Thank you so much, Marc. Thank you for your fight and your personal healthcare story as well. And again, a reminder of all of the issues that we're fighting for as Democrats. Next, we're going to come to Congresswoman Julie Johnson from Dallas, Texas, the 32nd District. Thank you so much for being on it. And I just want to remind people, hashtag Trump's shutdown drags on. And the three most important things that everyone can do: focus on targeting vulnerable Republicans to reopen the government, focus on organizing in New Jersey, Virginia, and Prop 50's election in California, and continue to lift up and share real life stories about those who were impacted by the Republican healthcare crisis that we are working to correct. So those are the action items tonight. Hashtag Trump's shutdown drags on. With that, Congresswoman Julie Johnson.
Well, I thank you so much, Stephen, and to all of the great people on the Zoom, and special shout out to Kay Viney, who I see on the chat from Texas. Texas is a crazy place. Our population is growing. We have the largest amount of population on the Affordable Care Act, the largest amount of people to lose their coverage. We already lead the nation in people without coverage. And, so many of the speakers tonight have already spoken so eloquently about the need for the healthcare fight. And I want to take my time and talk a little bit more about what can we do. We must win elections. That is what we can do. We can do very little if we don't win elections. So what needs to happen is you guys need to get marshaled in hard on winning the Virginia and the New Jersey governor's races. Both of the candidates need to win. Mickey Sherrill and Abby Spanberger need to win by more than people think they're going to win. We need to have this show of support that the public is fed up, had it, not having it. And that's what Republicans need to see this message. That election is November 4th. We need to win the Prop 50 election in California. This redistricting effort is a shit show, and they are trying to take so many seats away. And with the Voting Rights Act case that was heard at the Supreme Court today, it is going to be fundamental that we win state legislatures. We have to flip state houses. So if you are thinking of running for office, get in touch with folks. If you think there's a Democratic opening on a ballot, run. We should have a Democrat choice for our voters at every congressional, state Senate, state representative seat at a minimum. We have to focus on winning elections and winning state legislatures, because what we have known and what the speakers before me have said tonight, Republicans are determined to sell out the American people for their few friends. They're determined to sell out the hardworking folks that built this country on the backs and to line the pockets of those with extreme wealth. And so we have a stark difference. And right now, I think people are feeling their government in a very close and personal way, like they have never felt it before, and taking advantage of a lot of things. When I was first running for office, a fire chief told me once, he goes, Julie, the best thing about the best government is when people don't think about it. They're not even talking about it. They don't even think about it. That means government is running smoothly. Well, right now, people all across the country are thinking and talking about government because it is not working. And this administration is coming after hardworking folks, and they're not helping. And Democrats are fighting hard to make sure that the good, honest folks working to keep this country going every single day have what they need and can make their life a little better. When you work hard, you can get ahead. You have a good job, you get paid fairly for it. You have health care, your family gets treated when they're sick. And at the end of the day, maybe you can pocket a little bit more money than your bills were at the end of the day, and you can get ahead. That's what Democrats are fighting for. Those are the values, and we need you to be messengers. Go in and follow the social media of everybody on this call. Promote the communications. We have to reach more people. This healthcare fight is fundamental. We all know that. We're all on this call because we care deeply about the right to go and get a doctor and see a doctor when we're sick. But we have to break through the noise. We can't just join a Zoom call and then not have it go any further. You have to take that activism by following us, promoting, resharing all of our social medias. Everyone on this call has great content going out every single day. And we need you to engage with us to help reach as many people as possible, because we all know that this fight for healthcare, this fight that Democrats are having an iron, solid, uncrackable wall to stand up for, we are winning this narrative. And we win because we win public opinion, and we win when the people rise up and push through the gates that the Republicans trying to do and say, hell no, 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 not now, not tomorrow, not ever are you going to take my health care away. And so that is what we're trying to do, is get people to understand the consequences, to understand that their vote matters, to participate in elections, and to go win. So call and volunteer for these governor's races. Call and volunteer for the California Prop 50. Do everything you can. Those things are happening in the next 3 weeks. That should be the singular focus of your attention, because we must win all three of those things. So, and I echo everything else on healthcare, but I just wanted to bring a little bit of different twist to what we can do in the next 3 weeks to make a difference. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to join you, and thank you for your passion and purpose and being alongside us in this fight. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Congresswoman Julie Johnson. And as you reminded us, this is about what we can do right now in order to build towards winning next year. We know the corruption that Donald Trump literally called the people in Texas and said, give me more seats. And they called in the legislature and redrew the lines. And because of that, we're in this fight to protect districts like yours and other seats in the great state of Texas. But we still have the power of the people, and there are things that we can do. And these important races coming up in Virginia, New Jersey, and California in just 3 weeks will make the difference to setting up the victories in 2026 and beyond. So appreciate your hard work and your commitment to those priorities. I'm really pleased to have Congressman Dave Min from California's 47th District joining us, talking about all things that are happening in California, what's at stake. And then next, we're going to be coming to Congressman James Walkinshaw, the newest member, and a very important member that everyone needs to hear from. She is someone that we're fighting to get sworn in. Speaker Johnson has not sworn her in yet, despite her winning her election. Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva will be speaking before we close out this evening. So, Congressman Dave Min, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for organizing this. And for those of you who don't know me, I was elected last year. I'm a part of the freshman class, along with great people like Julie Johnson, who just spoke. I won one of the closest races in the country in Orange County. I represent Irvine, Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, and others. And before coming into politics, I was a law professor. And I will just admit that from the very first days of the Trump administration, the very first hours, I was alarmed by what we saw happening. The utter lawlessness, the contempt for the rule of law, the erasure of the guardrails that normally protect us from abuses of the rule of law. And what we're seeing right now, and let's be honest, it's authoritarianism in slow motion. And if you haven't seen this, there's a great report written in January 2024 called The Authoritarian Playbook for 2025. And it's a group of pro-democracy experts who talk about what will happen if Donald Trump gets elected. And keep in mind, this was the beginning of 2024 when this was released, and they predicted everything that happened to a T. The use of the federal bureaucracy to go after political enemies and rivals, the deployment of troops in our streets illegally, the illegal excess of law enforcement, and they conclude by noting that Trump won't leave. Now, I will just say this, democracy is still alive in our country. We still have a chance, a fighting chance, to fight back, to reclaim the America that we all know and love. But it's going to take a hell of a lot of work from all of us to do that. It's going to take us being out there this weekend for the No Kings rallies. It's going to take us out there on the streets, because I believe the only thing stopping Trump from going full fascist is the perception that maybe the American people will not stand for it. Now, this particular fight around healthcare is important because, let's be honest, a lot of people are not paying attention. And we saw this happen in places like Turkey, in Germany, in Iran. And I'll just relay a quick anecdote. Back in March, I celebrated the end of Ramadan with a Turkish family. And as we were waiting for the sun to set so we could eat, they were remarking on what had happened back then. This was 7 months ago. Was eerily familiar to what they saw happen in Turkey when Erdogan first took office. And of course, he ended up overthrowing that democracy. And they relayed to me that they hoped and believed that America's democratic institutions were strong enough to survive the authoritarian playbook. But we know what we're up against. And right now, we have a moment to fight back. Because let's be clear, what is happening right now with the Republican assault, not just on our values, but on our economic well-being, they've gone too far, they've overreached, and it is incredibly unpopular. And so they cut $1 trillion to Medicaid earlier this year in a partisan line vote. And I'm just going to say all this talk about bipartisanship, blaming Democrats for not voting for a quote unquote clean CR, it's all fucking bullshit because I am a swing seat Democrat. If anyone should be lobbied for a vote on any of these bills in the past, it would be someone like me. And when I talk to my fellow swing seat Democrats, whether they were just elected or whether they're people like Stephen Horsford, a frontline Democrat, none of us were lobbied for our votes. We should be lobbied if they're looking for bipartisan votes. What they've done instead is ram through extremist measures, greenlighting some of the excesses we've seen, codifying the illegal cuts to the federal government, the illegal tariffs that Donald Trump is illegally levying right now, all this stuff that Donald Trump's doing illegally. They have, cut $1 trillion to Medicaid, cut hundreds of billions of dollars to food aid. And now what they're proposing to do is leave another 15 million Americans, including 330,000 that I represent, without health insurance. And that's just wrong. And I think the American people are starting to pay attention. They're starting to wake up. And we're going to win this fight, but we need your help right now. We need you, as Stephen has said, to get out there and talk to people. We need you to step up. And, people always ask me, what gives you hope in this time? And the two things, honestly, that give me hope. One, the engagement that I'm seeing across my district in Orange County, which used to be bright red. People are out there. They're motivated. They're eager to step up. And I have not seen this, even in 2018, this level of engagement. And so keep it up because it sends a message to the powers that be. The other thing that I'm seeing that I think is going to help us is that these guys are thoroughly incompetent. They are destroying the economy. People know that their prices are going up. They see the guy down the street losing their job. They're about to see a 50% increase in their health insurance premiums. This is outrageous. And no matter how much they gaslight us, no matter how much they take over the media companies and try to give us propaganda, people are waking up. And that is what gives me hope as well. So we got to understand that we're in a long fight. And we've got to get to next year's elections. This is going to be a potent issue for next year's elections. But if we can power through, we're going to take back the House, maybe the Senate, and then we got the real work ahead of us because we have to reclaim this country and the values that it stands for. So thanks, Stephen. Thanks to my fellow Democrats. We are fighting for you, fighting for an America where we all can get ahead.
Thanks. Thank you, Congressman Min. And again, to ECU and Citizens United, all the organizers, this is about you. This is not about any one of us. It's about you and the work that you're doing every single day. You're the reason we're in this fight, and we cannot thank you for the organizing that you're doing. We've got phenomenal new members, and Congressman James Walkinshaw is one of them. And I am very pleased that he has joined us this evening. So we'd like to pass the mic over to him.
Well, thank you, Stephen, and thank you in Citizens United for bringing us all together here tonight. And it's appropriate that we're within Citizens United because I think this is really a story about money and about money in our politics. And we've seen the Trump administration and congressional Republicans from day one. Their agenda has been actually pretty simple from my perspective. Their agenda has been to pick the pockets of working Americans and middle-class Americans and line the pockets of their billionaire donors and their corporate donors. And we saw this with the big ugly bill, which was a massive giveaway to the wealthiest corporations and the wealthiest individuals in the country. And we see it now with this healthcare crisis that they've created. $1 trillion cut to Medicaid. Refusal to extend tax credits that working families across this country desperately need. Just in my district, in the 11th district of Virginia, a family of four earning $64,000 a year will see their premiums increase $2,571, a 200% increase, a doubling of their premiums, $200 extra a month that they will be forced to pay for health care coverage. Because of that and the Medicaid cuts, 18,000 people will lose their health care coverage altogether in my district. And that story is true across all 435 congressional districts. In fact, it's even more true in the districts represented by Republicans, especially those states, 10 states that haven't expanded Medicaid. And they're doing all of this to help pay to fund permanent tax cuts for their wealthy donors. And that's what this fight is all about. And that's what we as House Democrats are fighting for in this budget issue and discussion that we're having now. And I want to thank Tiffany for speaking out on behalf of the federal workers and the Trump administration's illegal effort to mass fire federal workers during the shutdown. I represent almost 60,000 federal workers in Virginia, and we did have a victory today with a court in California striking down and forcing them to pause those illegal firings of federal workers. There will obviously be more legal wrangling to play out, but the law is very clear. That threat, which was an attempt to intimidate me and my incredible Democratic colleagues here, that threat was based on a willingness to violate the law. And we've seen that throughout the course of the Trump administration. So thank you all for being in this fight for working people, this fight for the middle class, this fight to save healthcare and cancel the healthcare cuts. I want to make one final plug, and several folks have mentioned the elections coming up. We have New Jersey, obviously. I'm particularly interested in the Virginia elections coming up on November 4th. And, there are a lot of differences between this Trump term and the first Trump term, but something that can be the same. In 2017, Virginia's elections, where we had a historic victory, a wave election in Virginia, set us up to win those 2018 midterms. And we have the opportunity in Virginia on November 4th to do the very same thing. I can tell you right now, the Trump administration has been attacking and punishing Americans across the country, but they have especially been attacking and punishing Virginians, taking away our jobs, attacking our economy, attacking our communities. We have a governor right now who's been unwilling to stand up to Donald Trump on behalf of the people he represents. We have an opportunity on November 4th to elect a governor who will actually stand up for us against the Trump administration. So I urge you to dedicate your time to volunteering here in Virginia as well as in New Jersey and California for Proposition 50. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Congressman, and thank you for everything you're doing to stand up for federal workers, those in civil service, a large percentage that live in your state and in Maryland and throughout the DMV area and all across the country. And that's why we're working hard to reopen the government while protecting healthcare and all the other essential services that matter. Now, look, 22 days ago, I guess it is now, there was a really big election in Arizona's 7th district. This person won handedly her race and has been waiting for Speaker Johnson to swear her in so that she can do her job and the will of the people can be met. And we are delighted that she's coming to Congress, but she's also going to be the 218th signature on the discharge petition to release the Epstein files, which is also about ensuring accountability and protecting the victims and making sure that there is accountability for those who committed those atrocities. So I'm delighted to have Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva. I want to take the elect out off of her title and get her sworn in. We're doing everything that we can. It was great to join you this week, and congratulations on your victory. Thanks for being on the call tonight.
Thank you so much. And thank you and Citizens United for putting this together. And it's great to share space with all of my will-be colleagues, hopefully sooner rather than later. I was sworn in, waiting to get sworn in. I was elected 22 days ago. My race was certified yesterday. And so I have to say, representing a CD7 is like, I could not dream of being in this position right now. I literally am sitting at my dad's desk in the office. It's all empty. The phones aren't working, no computers. They just sort of let me in because I think they were tired of me knocking on everyone's conference room doors saying, hey, can I share some space with you? Let me hang out in here for a minute. But, you know, I am the granddaughter of a bracero, a very hardworking Mexican immigrant who came to this country for hopes for a better life. And I'm the daughter of a US congressman. That happened in one generation because of incredibly hard work and public education. So that's the American dream that raised me. And that is the American dream that is under attack right now. So when people say this, why are you fighting for this? You know, I hear Republicans saying, this is something that we can negotiate later. Healthcare is something that we can talk about later. There is no trust here. We can't talk about this later because people are getting notices that their premiums are going up today in some states, later this week in other states, mid-month next month in most everywhere else. So the reason why we're fighting for this is because healthcare is life-saving care. Healthcare is going to be, I mean, one of the things I think we have to remember in this country is every country, every community should be judged on how they take care of their most vulnerable. They're very young and they're very old. And what we're trying to do as Democrats is make sure we elevate that conversation, that we're continuing to talk about what's important. There should be no one like the mom that I talked to 3 days ago who said, I can't take, if you take away my health insurance, if I don't have these subsidies, if I can't go on the marketplace, I won't be able to have health care. And then I will have to make a decision as to whether I take my kid to the doctor or to urgent care or buy groceries. Nobody should be put in that position. 1 in 5 children, babies in Arizona are going to lose their health care. How is that okay? And in a civilized society, this is not the way we should be treating our people. I'm a mom of 3 children. I know how important it is for you to go and make sure that your baby is doing okay, all these well baby checks. There are rural hospitals in all of our communities that are at risk of shuttering because we are not protecting them. And so that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for that. We're fighting for the American people to be able to have access to healthcare. This is fundamental. This is not like, you know, premier programs or concierge doctors. You know who is not worried about whether we have healthcare or not? The 1% that the Republican Party is taking care of. The rest of us are the ones that are going to suffer. And so I'm so glad to be in this fight. And if what this means is that I don't get sworn in until we reopen, if this is one of the wins that we make, then I'm happy to wait. My constituents might not be so excited for me to say that, but I would be proud to be able to stand side by side with my Democratic colleagues and say what we did is we fought, held the line, we fought for healthcare and won. So thank you very much for including me. Thank you for this very important conversation and continuing to fight for a government that works for the people, not against them. Muchas gracias.
Just gracias. Thank you so much, Congresswoman-elect. And again, just as a reminder, this is the first time that a member who won their election in special election has not been sworn in. There were 2 Republicans who were sworn in One of them so that they had the votes to pass their big ugly bill in July, and another earlier this year. And lo and behold, this speaker can't do the same thing for, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll be the first Latina elected from the 7th Congressional District.
That is correct. We broke the glass ceiling in Arizona.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And to have your voice, and you've been showing up, you've been participating. House Democrats are in DC, despite the fact that Speaker Johnson canceled votes. But what you can't do is provide constituent services because you haven't been sworn in. And so nearly 800,000 people are being disenfranchised in this moment and not getting the representation, the full representation that they deserve. But we're glad you're here. We're glad you're in this fight, and we can't wait for you to be sworn in.
Thank you.
All right, Tiffany, I know unfortunately your voice gave in early, but you are still here, and your team, of course, is helping to organize. And I want to turn it over to Farah to talk about the next steps, where we go, and what everyone can do following this call.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you to Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva, and thank you, Congresswoman Titus, and to all the other participants who have joined us tonight. So you heard it. I am from ECU. I'm from the organizing team. So you know what that means, folks. I've got some homework for all of you. So we know this fight is just beginning. We know the power lies with us. We know that this is the moment to fight back. We see all the comments going through the chat. I see you, Kevin from Long Island, Larry, Pam, Barbara, Carol, and I see you, Roseanne. What I need you all to do right now is to get on your phone, so get them out and text NEXT to 59424. We're putting it in the chat right now. That will be so you can fill out our volunteer survey and stay involved. So once your survey is complete, we will fit you to a volunteer opportunity that matches your preference. So that is text the word NEXT to 59424. Second, write a letter to the editor of your local paper and spread the word about fighting corruption and ending the shutdown. Let the folks in your community know that they are not alone in feeling like they have had enough. Third, sign up to attend one of the No Kings protest events that are taking place this weekend. There are over 2,000 rallies happening, so there's bound to be one near you. So go ahead and take a look at nokings.org. And lastly, talk to your friends. It sounds easy, and it really is. You're the best messenger for change, and the people you know are more willing to come out and volunteer if you ask them. So please, if you have an election happening, please head to iwillvote.com if you have an election happening this November and check your registration. But also, you heard what to do here from all the members here, that we need to help out Virginia and we need to help out New Jersey. And lastly, just thank you. Thank you for spending the evening with us. Thank you for spending this time with us as we hear stories from our storytellers and our wonderful panelists here. So thanks, everyone, and have a great evening.